Imagine a science fiction story that begins not with a space battle, but with a patch of moss stubbornly growing in a dying town. That's exactly how Quantum Range opens, and it completely transforms our expectations of what a cosmic war story can be.
That's such a powerful way to start. The author is clearly drawing from classic dystopian literature like The Road, where small details carry enormous weight. That line about the town being too small to warrant a proper sunrise just haunts you.
Well, what's fascinating is how the author builds tension through sound rather than sight. The invasion begins with this bone rattling vibration that distorts reality itself. It reminds me of how Lovecraft used sound in the music of Eric Zahn to create this sense of cosmic horror.
You know what's really interesting about that approach? It completely subverts traditional invasion narratives. Instead of visual spectacle, we get this almost mathematical precision of fear.
The psychological aspects are so well crafted, like how the Krokonians establish control through AI systems and drones. It's reminiscent of Philip K. Dick's Paranoid Futures, but with this clinical efficiency that feels terrifyingly modern.
Speaking of literary influences, the whole concept of the source, this energy that responds to resonance and will seems to draw from both Eastern mysticism and quantum physics. How do you think that shapes the story's approach to power?
Oh, that's such a great observation. The way the source works through both Ryoshi and Ankin shows these two competing philosophical traditions. Ryoshi's approach mirrors the Taoist concept of wu-wei action through non-action, while Ankin represents this more Western idea of direct intervention.
The symbolism throughout is incredibly layered. That black residue on Ankin's blade, his glowing eyes, it's like watching a classical tragedy unfold in real time.
And what's particularly clever is how the author uses environmental details to reinforce these themes. The aurora during the battle, that persistent moss patch, they're working on multiple symbolic levels, much like the wasteland imagery in T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland.
The whole structure really does feel like a modern epic, doesn't it? Starting with this small, forgotten town, but gradually expanding to cosmic significance.
Exactly. And the way it handles the concept of echo and resonance reminds me of Octavia Butler's work, how she would use scientific concepts as metaphors for human relationships and power dynamics. Here, every action creates these ripples through both space and time.
The relationship between Ryoshi and Ankin seems to be setting up this classic mentor-student conflict, but with some really interesting twists. It's almost like a dark mirror of the traditional hero's journey.
Well, what makes it so compelling is how it avoids simple good versus evil dynamics. The source itself is neutral, it's all about how it's used. That's reminiscent of how Frank Herbert handled the spice in Dune, another story about power and its corrupting influence.
The world building is incredibly detailed too. The way the author describes Dustville's synthetic food, the blight, the constant machinery, it creates this vivid sense of a world at its breaking point.
And that's what makes the invasion so effective as a catalyst. It's not just about the physical threat, it's about how systems of control can be established through technology and psychology. The Krokonians' message, compliance ensures survival, feels like it could have been pulled from any number of real-world authoritarian regimes.
The whole chapter really does serve as this perfect microcosm of the larger themes, doesn't it? Power, resistance, the cost of survival, all playing out in this forgotten corner of the galaxy.
That's why starting with the moss patch is so brilliant. It's this tiny symbol of life persisting against all odds, which becomes this powerful metaphor for human resilience throughout the story. In many ways, it reminds me of how Ursula K. Le Guin would use small, seemingly insignificant details to illuminate universal truths.
Looking ahead, what do you think this setup suggests about where the story might go?
Well, the groundwork has been laid for some fascinating explorations of power and corruption. Ankin's transformation suggests we might be watching the birth of an antagonist rather than a hero, while Ryoshi's premonition about bigger threats coming creates this wonderful tension between immediate and long-term conflicts. It's like watching the first moves in a cosmic chess game.
You are listening to the Quantum Range Chronicles. If you like these episodes and you want to hear more, you can find the completed book on Amazon, Kindle, and Audible. Thank you.